I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm a saxophonist, composer, and why don't we say writer? Poetry, I'm still learning it, even though I've been in it for a while. I've been collaborating with poets for the last 10 years. I mean, I don't come from a musical family, but my mom was a jazz lover. Buffalo, New York is very eclectic musically. Basically, my mom, she basically told the band director that she wanted me to play an instrument that Kenny G played. And that was not one of the instruments the band director had, but I think he knew that the trajectory of playing instruments would start with first learning clarinet and then eventually alto sax when I was 12. The story behind learning the alto sax is a trip with my dad. We wanted a dog. So we got the dog, and eventually we made to Colorado where he was residing. And a friend of his had an alto sax, a Buescher 400. I'll never forget that. The guy seemed interested in our dog, my dad's friend. And I said, well, and I'm 11 at the time. I'll be 12 in August. I said, well, since you have this Buescher 400, we can get rid of the dog. I don't want the dog. And I don't even think my sister got she didn't get a vote. Unfortunately, she did not get a vote when I got rid of the dog. But my mom was not rich enough to be able to afford to send me to school. So eventually I was at Buffalo State. That felt like high school again. I was a music education major, hated it. And my mom told me I should be a music education major because she thought that was a backup plan. I didn't believe in backup plans, and I still don't. So I left that school because one of my good friends was going to Howard University, and he came home and he was excited about school, and he started telling me about the history of Howard University, how Donny Hathaway went there and Roberta Flack and Thurgood Marshall, and he just kept naming all of these names, and I was like, oh, I'm at Buffalo State. Man, do you think I can go to Howard, please? So I ended up going to Howard. That was a beautiful experience. And that was my first exposures to the legacy of Amiri Baraka, poet and, activist. And his book, Blues People, was a required reading for my jazz history class. So that was great. And then I got out of school, life hit. And so I spent 2 years out of school, went to Colorado, lived in Colorado with my dad, was playing gospel music. I was trying to figure out my life, playing hymns at churches. I got another education. I was at one of the oldest Baptist churches in Colorado. And the music staff were these amazingly African-American women in their 80s. And they all had doctorates. That taught me a lot about life and about perceptions of genre too. Like I remember one time I was in church and I was talking to Dr. Davis and said, well, because I'm thinking about a lead sheet. Like that's how we write in jazz. You write a melody, write the chord changes. I said, Dr. Davis, like I got this idea, for this choir. I think I'm like 20, 22, but I don't write in a very she looks over, she says, James, and this woman, she had to be 80 by now. Maybe she was like mid 70s. She looks at me, James, I know what a lead sheet is. I was so embarrassed. Because I wasn't trying to offend her, but I was stuck in my, what I thought vocal pedagogy was and what she was about and what she, her experiences. So that was beautiful. I did that for 2 years and eventually decided I was going to Cal Arts. The beautiful thing about that school is that it accepted all of who I was. I didn't have to, not only was I playing with the faculty every week in ensembles, writing original music, but then also learning just learning that, like, okay, cool. Like if I want to play some spirituals, they're going to allow me to play spirituals. Or if I want to, they were very broad genre wise, and that was my exposures to like Harry Parch and James Tinney and just so many, Joseph Schillinger, so many different things that I wasn't exposed to at Howard. So I have the best of both worlds. And where I'm at today, I would say that I started Heroes of Gang Leaders after Mary Baraka died. I've been involved with Arts for Art, which is an organization here in New York that not only provides concerts, but they do educational programs. They also do community concerts. I also, many different things. I don't necessarily consider myself an activist, but I definitely consider myself somebody who has an eye, an ear to the ground to disseminate hope and disseminate like every album that I make or everything that I participate in. I like to just like kind of drop a little like a treasure hunt for the next generation. There was a writer who reached out to me and said, "Oh, James, you wrote this piece, Raise Above Me. Oh, that's a really good autobiography." And I said, "Oh, wow, okay, so you understood the reference." But I also started a kind of collective recently where we're focusing on individuals who don't kind of fit a narrow, stereotypical view of Blackness. For instance, I have a friend who is a minister and a Scientologist, and he's a musician. Or I have another friend who's a film composer, and he's into new music. And these are all people of color. And so, begin to start these dialogues of like, what exactly is Blackness? And then I just started doing research on a group, Spiral, that included Romare Bearden and Norman Lewis, right? And they were asking the same questions. And that was started after the March on Washington, where they're thinking, okay, like, how do we display Blackness within our artwork? And does it have to be like kind of literal and figurative, or can we be abstract, and what colors are we going to use? And so I think that that's the kind of conversations that have been sparked. And most recently, I've been asking myself, what is the role of the artist, within this time period? Should we be like rah, rah, rah in your face, or should we be kind of incognito, and like, should we be using the same even language as the people who are causing us the most harm, or should we be like stealth where they don't know where we're coming from? I don't really believe in music for music's sake. I get annoyed when people say that. And the reason why I get annoyed is because if I play, like, it's no different than like if someone drops a pebble in the Pacific, and somebody in the Atlantic's going to feel that, and they're never acknowledged. And that echo, that vibration, this vibration here, like if I start playing my sax, is not contained in this room. But to convince people, that's what I'm always trying to tell my students: if you don't believe that music can change, then you should pack your stuff up. I'm not being mean, just pack it up, because vibration is moving. I don't just make music just to make music. I never have been that kind of person. If you want to hear tunes, that's someone else. If you want to be entertained, that's someone else. That's someone else. Because really, I really feel like, what's my greatest medium? What's my greatest voice? I'm not a politician. My greatest voice is picking up the saxophone and playing it where I actually think that a portal is going to open up when I play this thing, because I actually believe that this is possible.